Your consciousness is infinite. Your source awareness, your divinity is infinite. It transcends all time and space. It's about moving our consciousness into that ascended awareness. When your consciousness is in that ascended awareness, of course you don't need a body, you don't need this, you don't need that. But we're living in a human body. We are living in a human experience. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being human.
Revolution Radio proudly presents, live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Last week we started talking about conscious ascension, and for those of you that missed it, there is part one available on my YouTube channel as well as in the archives of Revolution Radio. But the idea behind conscious ascension, we clarified what ascension is, so please go back and check that out. But the idea of conscious ascension is to be mindful of our ascension, to be mindful and aware of where we are in the ascension process. We are all going through some form of ascension, whether you're into metaphysics, whether you're into consciousness, whether you're into politics, no matter what you're into, we are constantly ascending to a higher state of awareness, a higher state of knowledge and of experience, whether it's a spiritual path or a personal path. You just through your life, day-to-day experience, you are ascending into a greater awareness. But of course, my work is geared toward the consciousness community, and this is about being mindful of our consciousness and being mindful of our steps toward ascension. So last week we ended the show just diving into the idea of igniting the body with light and the light body, and I gave a really quick rundown of what the 5 layers of the light body are. And I just want to go ahead and dive into that. I'm hearing a little background. Can we mute if there's any mics on? I hear fidgeting, more than my cat. So, the light body is, well, the human body consists of 5 layers of energy. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, in order for us to create and be conscious of our ascension, we must be aware of those layers that are not visibly or physically available to us, to our perception. And through that awareness, we do become aware, and we begin to expand that light within us and expand our consciousness. So the first layer is your physical body. And the physical body is the outer 4 layers of energy which surround the first layer, are commonly referred to collectively as your aura. Let me reread that. I'm reading my notes and I got distracted. The first layer is your physical body, the body that you can touch and see reflected in the mirror. The outer 4 layers of energy which surround the first layer are commonly referred to collectively as your aura. So when we're going into these different layers of energy body, we're talking about the layers that people call the aura. Together, these 5 layers or energy bodies are the human energy field. An energy medicine practitioner can evaluate and treat all the layers of the human body, not solely the physical layer. When I'm doing a Reiki treatment on someone, I usually do a scan from head to toe, scanning the different layers, sensing any kind of energy blockages, any type of Klingons. Klingons is what I call, thought forms and whatnot that are blocking our growth. It takes someone who has clairvoyant ability to see the second, third, fourth, and fifth layers. But when I say clairvoyant, it could also be clairaudient and clairtouch. I am a toucher, and what I mean by that is I can sense it physically, but I can't see it visually with my own eyes. So anyway, let's go ahead and explore these layers, starting with the physical energy body, which is the first layer. This is the layer that we usually think of as our physical selves. Although we think of our bodies as a package consisting of flesh, bone, organs, and blood, our physical bodies are also energy. Think about all the electrical that moves through your body. We are electric beings. We have electricity within us. We have energy within us. We radiate heat. Anyway, just as the other layers of the body, we may not even sense the fact that there is an energy body within our physical body, because it is constantly, how shall we say, expelling energy. Recently I started dieting, and I need to lose a few pounds. I know that. So I started dieting, and I've been researching diet. And it's funny how when we're talking about diet, how they talk about energy and how caloric intake is your energy. So our body is a machine that uses energy, and that's just our physical body. The next layer we have is the etheric body. This is located, some people sense it about 1/4 to 1/2 inch from our body. When we do energy exercises, and actually I'll help you sense it right now. And of course you're just going to do it by sensing radiant heat, but it's a great way to get a perspective, is if you rub your hands together. I'm trying to get in front of the microphone here. Rub your hands together really fast, get some friction going, get some heat going, and then kind of use your fingertips to sense that energy, sense that heat that radiates from your palm, or any part of your body for that matter. It kind of gives you a visualization of where the actual etheric body lives, for lack of a better term. Energy medicine practitioners who are adept at physically sensing this layer have described it as feeling webby. For me, it tickles my fingertips. I hate to say that, I say it all the time. For lack of a better term, it tickles my fingertips. It's not necessarily webby to me, but it is vibrational, or I guess is a good way of saying it. A lot of people do sense it as webby, kind of like spider webs. It feels sticky or stretchy for many people. It's also gray or bluish in color for those that actually can see aura. The etheric energy body has also been referred to as the blueprint or holograph of our physical body. I'd like to think, or I kind of feel, I wonder if how many mediums or whatnot agree with me, is that the ghosts are ghosts. If there is a ghost, it's usually an etheric, energetic leftover that's imprinted in a specific location. For me, that's the way I sense it. So let's move on to the next energy body, which is the emotional energy body. And the emotional layer of our energy body is the third layer. It's centrally located between the first two layers and the last two layers. This is where our feelings live. This is where both our fears and our joy, our jubilations, our happiness, our unhappiness, all live in this body. And if you're an energy healer like myself, this is where you kind of sense for energetic imbalances. And that's where I call the quote-unquote Klingons live, where we have traumatic experiences. We begin to develop this energy blockage there of that sadness or that trauma, and it kind of lives here in the emotional energy layer of the body. This layer can be very volatile when we're experiencing very high and low emotions, but it's also very powerful when we are aligning with our higher self, with joy, with our divine self. Much of the manifestation work that we do comes through the emotional energy body. For those of us that practice spellcraft or witchcraft or magic, we know that it's about the emotion that we use to direct the energy, to direct the intention that gives it its force and propels it. Whether it be positive or negative, it all depends on how you're feeling. So our emotional energy body, it can be very, very powerful, both positively and negatively. So we want to be aware of how we're feeling. I will say that when I am doing manifestation work, it's very important for me to be in a good mood. Of course, I'm going to do the work when I'm in a good mood. But you'll notice, and we're going to go into it a little bit in just a little bit about altering our state of consciousness, that you'll notice in a lot of pagan ritual, a lot of the ritual aspects are to alter our state of consciousness toward a very peaceful state, to a very divine and sublime state. And that's where that comes from, is to alter our state into, into a positive high vibration, for lack of a better term. So let's move on to the next level, or the next layer of our energy body. And that is the mental energy body. The mental energy body is the fourth layer, expanding outward from the physical body. This is where our inspiration comes from. This is where our belief system lives. It's a great way to look at it as the interpreter of our higher self, or our source divine connection. If our divine self lives in our spiritual body or communicates through the spiritual body, it is the mental energy body that kind of translates that. So we talk about downloads a lot, right? A lot of us in this community, we talk about downloads. Oh, I'm having a download. When I'm having a download from my divine self, from my higher self, it goes through the mental energy body to be translated into, I don't want to say translated into language, since our brain does that, duh. But I feel that it is through the mental energy body that we kind of make sense of what we're seeing. A lot of times we're going to get this divine download, this inspiration, and we can't really quite translate it. It's through our beliefs and our past experiences and our feelings that we are able to translate that to make any type of sense. You know, a lot of times we hear, psychic readings or whatnot, and they're very vague, but it's through the mental energy body that they begin to make sense. This is where our thoughts are assimilated, and this is where they're sorted out. This is where our personal truths live. This is where our perceptions based on experiences are housed. So it has a lot to do, again, with our experiences. This is the divine translator. I like that interpretation, actually. And then lastly, of course, we have the spiritual body. The spiritual body is the outermost layer. It is the spiritual energy body. It is the part of the human field that is, well, first of all, it's the final layer, so to speak, of the body you're incarnated. But this is the place where our consciousness lives. This is the place where our higher self lives, where our connection to source consciousness lives. You can, if those of you who have been schooled in understanding the chakras, there's also like an eighth, a ninth, and probably a dozen more. This would be those higher chakras that we don't really pay attention to. Yes, the seventh chakra connects us to those higher chakras of the higher self. This is where they would be living. The spiritual energy body is your divine self. The spiritual energy body is that part of you that is infinite. It is a part of you that can help you tap into past lives, future lives. There is no time and space within the spiritual energy body. It is through a type of spiritual magnetism that it sticks around you. It's a part of your physical manifestation on this plane of consciousness, but it is also the infinite part of you. Your divine, your spiritual energy body will allow you, and waking up and feeling the spiritual energy body and creating an awareness to it is what's going to help you to communicate with your higher self, with your source consciousness. This is the part of you that you can do your astral projection, if that's what you're into, to do your channeling, to do your reading, to do your energy work, to do your Reiki, whatever it is all coming through the spiritual energy body. So it's very important that we become very aware of these layers and be very aware of breathing light into them, for lack of a better term. So having awareness of these bodies is, of course, one of the most important steps that we can do. Breathing light into them, giving them attention, being mindful of their existence, developing a relationship with all of them. One of the things that I teach, and I've been teaching since day one, is the way to get to know your innate intuitive ability or your divine abilities is to be aware of your central nervous system. Your central nervous system, whether you get a cringe or a release or whatnot, it reacts to all of these layers. It reacts to the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the etheric. But if you can, what I would suggest, and I may have a meditation laying around somewhere on my YouTube channel of meditating on each of these bodies, giving them time, getting to know them. How do they react? We all know how the physical body reacts. You touch something hot, you're going to react. Cold, happy, good, tingly, sensual. We can understand the physical reactions. What about the etheric body? How does the etheric body react to hot, cold, love, hate, etc.? How does the mental body react? How does the spiritual body react? So it's important that during our path to conscious ascension that we become aware of these 5 layers, develop a relationship with them. We're all very good at developing a relationship with our physical body, or at least some of us are. When you're hungry, you eat. When when you need something, your body tells you. We can pay attention to the physical body. Let's start paying attention to the rest of the layers of our energetic body. And we can do exercises. We're going to start moving into exercises. We've only got a few minutes before this, before we have a commercial break. But I wanted to touch on raising our vibration through outside stimulus. Look, if you're watching, or if you're listening to the sound of my voice changes your consciousness. Just paying attention to it. If you're watching, seeing that picture of the ocean changes your consciousness. Be aware of how your vibration changes through the outside stimulus that is around you, whether it is my voice, the song on the radio, the song on your CD player. Do people still have CD players? On your MP3 player. How is your mind and your consciousness reacting to the outside stimulus? So becoming conscious and being mindful of this gives us the opportunity to explore different ways to elevate and raise our vibration intentionally. Walking in the woods, for me, immediately raises my vibration. Maybe some people are afraid of the woods. I'm not. I love walking in the woods. I love listening to the sound of the crickets. I love hearing the birds, feeling the breeze, smelling the smells. That's outside stimulus. Music, whether it be Enya or, I don't know, David Bowie, whatever. If it helps you to elevate and change your consciousness, it is a form of positive outside stimulus, which is going to help you to raise your vibration. On the other end, and I talk about this much, is look at the opposite, though. Be aware of what's lowering your vibration. And one of the things that I feel is very important and a very easy tool that you can use in all of this is being aware of what you don't like. Being aware of what brings you down. A great example of this is my Facebook feed can bring me down. I have no problem unfollowing somebody. I won't block somebody, but I'll unfollow them or put them, what do they call that, snooze them for a month. You know, be aware of what you don't like, and you'll learn to cultivate that which is helpful in raising your vibration. We're at a commercial break right now. We will be back in just a minute, and we're going to continue. And we're also going to be doing some energy work, so stick around for that. We'll be right back. If you appreciate the work that I'm doing, these classes that I do, the guests that I interview, the work I'm doing on social media, on YouTube, as well as locally, you can support my work by becoming a patron for as little as $2 a month. Becoming a patron gives you access to patron-only material, such as MP3 downloads, videos, classes, a PDF copy of my book, The Book of One, where I share a lot of the information that was given to me during my shamanic vision quest that started this whole journey. And anyway, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Bernard Alvarez, and become a patron today. You can choose different levels and get different gifts in return. And like I said, there's a lot of exclusive stuff there that nobody sees on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere. Anyway, let's get back to our talk today. We were just talking a bit about raising our vibration through outside stimulus. And before the break, I was talking about how we can learn what we don't like, what doesn't. We can learn what does raise our vibration through outside stimulus by being aware of what is bringing us down. Yes, of course we want to be informed. Yes, of course we want to watch the news or read the news or whatever it is, but if it's making you feel down, it's bringing you down, it's making you angry or whatnot, take a break. Take a break. It is better to be proactive, to create the change you want to see in the world, rather than being reactive. And I talk about this a lot when it comes to sacred activism. Sacred activism is not protesting something. It's about creating change in a positive manner on issues that are affecting the world negatively. But we're talking about ascension today. And becoming aware and mindful of creating a higher vibration in ourselves through outside stimulus can be very, very helpful. Some people, again, utilize nature. Some people utilize music. Some people utilize dancing. Anything that will help you to elevate your consciousness out of your day-to-day programming, for lack of a better term. Get you out of your mind and into the moment. We are constantly being bombarded by thoughts. We are constantly being bombarded with thoughts of tomorrow, of what is, you know, reaction, outrage, happiness, sadness, whatever it is. Allow your vibration to rise. Allow yourself to get out of your mind and into the moment in order to raise it. And if you need outside stimulus to do it, that's great. But find what works for you. But you can find it by knowing what doesn't work for you. What brings you down? Don't do that. So as we move up the path of ascension, as we are becoming more conscious of our awakening, as we become more conscious of our ascension process, a lot of old memories will start coming up. A lot of old crap, for lack of a better term, begins to bubble to the surface. We're seeing it as a collective right now on the planet. All that old garbage is coming up to the surface. If we look at the Earth and everyone on it as one organism, we are now going through that releasing stored cellular memory. All that ugly racism and hatred and all that stuff is coming up to the surface because we are getting ready to release it like a big bad pimple or boil. It's got to come up to the surface. The same thing goes with you as an individual. A lot of those old fears, a lot of those old traumas, a lot of those insecurities all must be courageously looked at and cleared. We have to allow all that stored anger, all that stored fear to be released. It could be from a past life, it could be from your childhood, it could be from last week. Remember, we are connected to every cell in our body. Everything has a vibration. Everything is energy. And this stuff gets down into our cells, into our bones, into our DNA, and it lives there. Energetically speaking, it'll live there. When I'm doing Reiki, or if someone's doing acupuncture or something like that, that's what we search for. We search for these stored energy blockages, and we must allow ourselves to release them. But first, we have to find them, and we have to be courageous enough to, well, I don't want to say look them in the eye, but courageous enough to feel them, to sense them, and then allow ourselves to heal. So if you are going through the awakening process, if you are having a lot of ugly old stuff show up, that's a part of the process. You're not going crazy. I know a lot of people get depressed during the ascension process, but that's not who you are. It is, again, it's just cellular memory. It's just old trauma. Shamans utilize the idea of shamanic, I already forgot, soul retrieval. We utilize that soul retrieval to kind of bring back the wholeness. The same thing can be said with releasing old traumas. And I have a little visitor here that just jumped on my lap, so let her say hello. Say hi, Luna. This is Luna. That's a little jingling you hear. Anyway, so I let her jump on my lap for a second. Going back and moving forward as we go through this wonderful journey through conscious awareness. Now that we're being courageous, now that we're looking at our cellular memories, we want to do something about it. What can we do on a day-to-day basis? What can bring you to the moment? Your breath. Yeah, it's very cliche, but it's true. Your breath is what gives you life. Your breath is what gives life to your blood, to your muscles, to your heart, to your brain. Oxygen. We breathe oxygen. And if we can become mindful of the power of our breath, of just our breath, becoming mindful of the power of our breath, and just focus on that for just a few moments. Taking a deep breath in through our nose, filling our belly. Breathing properly. And I want to touch on that for just a brief moment. I'll get into this a little more in just a second. A lot of people, when we say take a deep breath, we have a tendency to bring it all into our chest. I don't know why people think it's like we have to fill our lungs, and you see people take a deep breath and they're like, but you're not getting all the air that you can get. The proper way of light breathing, for lack of a better term, is to fill your diaphragm, fill your belly. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Put your palms on the just below your rib cage, and take a deep breath. And your hands should be rising. Your belly should be expanding. So when you breathe, breathe down into your belly. Pause and gently exhale. That's proper breathing technique for meditation, and what we're going to be talking about here. Light body breathing is doing exactly what I just said, breathing life into your physical body, but also breathing light into your emotional body, etheric body, mental body, spiritual body. See the energy moving into your body, the light. The light is the oxygen. The oxygen is light. It creates electrical synapses that go off in our brain every time we take a breath. It creates electrical circuits moving through our body every time we take a breath. Now visualize that light expanding outward into your etheric body with every breath. Visualize that light moving out into the next layer, and the next layer, and the next layer, all the way up and out to your spiritual body. Zen meditation, and I talk about this constantly, I'm going to talk about it again. Zen meditation is nothing more than counting your breath. Closing your eyes, filling your belly with air, and exhaling. And then counting 1. And then again, taking another deep breath in. Exhaling 2. Inhale, exhale 3. Just by doing that, that is the basic foundation of Zen meditation. If you can do this every day for even the count of 5 breaths, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to have more clarity. Your mind will be clearer. You won't be so distracted. Do yourself a favor. Just count your breaths. Clear your mind. Focus, ground, and center. And as you get better and better at it, begin to allow that breath to become light, to allow that light to come in, to allow that light to expand outward into all the layers of your body until you're just breathing in a whole big ball of light. It's not that hard. It's just being mindful and conscious. Remember, we're talking about conscious evolution, not, oh, it happened out of nowhere evolution. We're talking conscious ascension, not, oh, one day I woke up and I ascended. It doesn't work that way. You must be conscious of your ascension, and light body breathing is a very big part of it that people just forget. We forget. And that's okay. We forget. And before we do the energy work, I want to touch on one last very, very important aspect of all of this. Already throughout these courses between last week and this week, I'm sure a few of us have gone, oh my God, this is so silly. Or our ego is like, I don't have time for this. Or I'm better than this. I can ascend without this stuff. I don't need to be conscious of it. I can do this automatically. Our ego is going to do everything it can to resist your ascension. When you're, I don't want to say finally ascended, but as you move through the ascension process, your higher self, your spirit, your source consciousness begins to take over. And what I mean by that is that you start listening to your intuition. You start listening to your physical body, your etheric body, your mental body, etc., and not paying attention so much to what the ego says. Remember, the ego is reactive. The ego is memories with a perception and a slant that only you can see. There is no truth in ego. The ego is a wonderful tool, but a terrible master. Yes, we need ego. We need ego to tell us what time it is. We need ego to tell us to go to work. We need ego to help us pay the bills. But ego is a tool. It's not the master. As you move through this process, you're going to find your ego is going to fight you every step of the way, calling you stupid, telling you it's not working, making you look for things that are never going to happen. One of the worst cases, one of the most common and worst examples of this is thinking that, oh, I don't know, that you're going to be able to walk through walls in a week, you know. A lot of people, and again, you know, I do a lot of awakening counseling and spiritual guidance with clients, and I would say the main thing is people have unrealistic outcomes. They believe that they can astral project at the drop of a hat. They believe, I've got people who take pagan classes from me and they think they're going to fly on brooms and shoot fire out of their fingers and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't work that way. It's about consciousness. It's about awakening our minds, about ascending through the veils of this matrix illusion that we're living in, that are imposed on us by our ego. So our ego is going to give us these false concepts, these false ideas of what ascension is. It's not perfection. It is not becoming a monk and living in a cave. It's not walking around as one giant light body, you know, glowing, you know, this light. That's fairy tale. That's fairy tale. That's myth. That's, that's stories, It's not real. Be real. Be realistic. Have realistic intentions and realistic ideas of where this is going. Your consciousness is infinite. Your source awareness, your divinity is infinite. It transcends all time and space. It's about moving our consciousness into that ascended awareness. When your consciousness is in that ascended awareness, of course you don't need a body, you don't need this, you don't need that. But we're living in a human body. We are living in a human experience. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being human. There's nothing wrong with getting angry, sad, or having sex, or partying, or any of that. That's why we're here. Enjoy being human, but don't let the ego control you. You must give yourself permission to ascend. Your ego's going to tell you, no, but you won't be able to do this. You're not going to want to do it. No, but you won't be able to, feel sorry for yourself. You won't be able to be a victim anymore. You're not going to want to. You're not going to want to. Don't let the ego hold you back. Give yourself permission. Take control. And I don't mean that in an ego way. I mean, restore awareness is probably a better way of saying it. Restore awareness to the higher self. Restore awareness to your source consciousness of your ascended consciousness. Bring the perception and the perspective from that point of view versus that from, down here at the ego and, oh, this, that, this, always, something shiny, ooh, Yeah, we get distracted and that's all fine and dandy, but we have to give ourselves permission to ascend. So with that, I'd like to help you out, and I'd like to start by doing an intention, doing a, call it a spell, call it a meditation, call it energy work. But let's lay down the foundation. Let's give ourselves that permission to ascend. Let's clear away some of that old garbage that we've been holding on to, the old paradigms, the old story. We all have a story. This is my life until now. When you meet someone, you have a story to tell them, right? Oh, this is what I do. This is what I am. This is who I've been. This is who I am going to be. We have a story. Let go of the story. Let's start on that today. So we're going to do, hopefully I have enough time. Actually, I intend we have enough time. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you like. And let's go ahead and do that breathing that I talked about. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose, filling our belly. Pausing and gently exhaling. Again, let's take a deep breath, filling our belly. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And one more time, let's take a deep breath, filling our belly. Pause and gently exhale. Now I'd like you to just return to your normal rhythm of breathing. And I'd like you to just go inward, into the quiet, into your mind. And we're going to connect with your source consciousness, with the core of who you are. We're going to connect with your divine self. And we're going to remind the divine self of its ability to ascend. So we're going to speak in our mind's eye. And we're going to dissolve any old contracts that we unwittingly made to ourselves, to other beings who don't work in integrity for our highest good. And within your mind, I'd like you to say to yourself, from the light of love that I am, I hereby declare my team of guides shall, as soon as necessary, be comprised only of members of 100% pure light, who have never been reprogrammed by entities of darkness. You can just feel the words. You don't need to say them because you get distracted, but just feel the words. From the light of love that I am, I hereby declare the entity that is my primary guide shall be a being of 100% pure light that has never been reprogrammed by entities of the dark. And this change to be made as soon as possible. Letting the ego go, allowing the higher self to take its place. From the light of love that I am, I hereby declare that my consciousness mix should be converted to a mix of 100% pure light, to be that of the consciousness of the light beings that have never been reprogrammed by the dark. I declare that this conversion shall take place as soon as possible. I declare that this shall happen during the evening hours as I sleep and as I dream, in order that I may continue on my normal daily routines. From the light of love that I am, I call forth that all things, whether animate or inanimate, within or around me, my home, my yard, my place of business, be immediately deactivated from use as directional beacons by those who are not 100% pure light. I further declare that when this has been accomplished, it shall be irrevocable, and permanent. From the light of love that I am, I call forth that no energy, no entities or beings are to be allowed anywhere around me at any time that are not 100% pure light. I declare this to be irrevocable and permanent. From the light of love that I am, I cancel all contracts and or agreements that I have made with any entity in any time frame and any reality that was not in my best interest or in the interest of the light, or that were made with entities that were not of 100% pure light. I further declare that the cancellation of all such contracts is to be irrevocable and permanent in all time frames and realities. I rescind all vows, all contracts, all commitments, all stagnant energy, all programming or matrixing from this lifetime, from those past dealing with betrayal of self, abandonment, or self-limiting thought. I now accept and receive my abundance, my power, my wholeness, and my awareness of being one with the light and one in the light. I accept and receive through grace releasement from all error, both unconscious and conscious. I am encompassed in the light, by the light, and encoded with the conscious presence of the light and by the light. All is given to me through the goddess and the god, the child, the father, and the fatherhead energies, and those of divine light source. So be it. It is done. I relinquish all fear, all doubt, and all betrayal of the self that has been programmed by my own need to control my darkness. I relinquish these vows and now accept the part of myself which is light. I rescind the split ego self as it stands before me and the split mind from which it emanates. I choose my light, my love, my abundance, my freedom, my joy, and my highest self-expression, my highest and best good, above and beyond all else. I accept, receive, and open myself in full abundance and light through the divine grace of love. So be it, so be it, so be it. It is now done. Blessed be. And take a moment to feel the energy moving through you, to feel your consciousness. Slowly open your eyes. When you are ready, bring yourself back to the space in which you are sitting, in the room you're sitting, and return to normal waking consciousness, because you have stuff to do, unfortunately, still. You have a day to continue, and so do I. Anyway, thank you, everyone, so much. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did not see part 1, please go back and watch part 1, or better yet, rewatch both part 1 and part 2 again of this class on Conscious Ascension. I'm very happy to say that next week, Joan of Angels will be joining us live here on the Just Bernard Show. As well, coming up, we have Robert Schuck will be returning after 8 years. I think he was on the show like 8 years ago. Geez, back in Blog Talk Radio days. So Robert Schuck, I hope I'm saying that right, will be joining us again in just a few weeks. And I hope you enjoyed these consciousness classes. We're going to continue doing this. I find that everybody really enjoys them, and I would love to hear from you. Please visit me at bernardalvarez.com. Feel free to send me a message there. And by all means, if you are enjoying this work and the work that I am doing, please head on over to patreon.com/Bernard Alvarez. Become a patron. Actually, I think you can become a patron for free and see some of the stuff. But anyway, go over there. Join everybody over there. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. Anyway, I want to thank you all again for joining us. Thank you, Triva. And I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to look at some of your messages or comments, but I'm going to right now, and I'm going to go answer some of you. And as well, in a couple of weeks, we will be doing another Q&A. So please head on over to bernardalvarez.com. Send me a message, send me a question, and I'll add it to the show. I'll see you all next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye. I love you.